everyone, it's Sarah, your leadership and career expert. Just a little bit after 5:30 this evening. It's been quite a busy day here. I've had lots of people getting in touch, asking me how I can help them get clarity on their goals, move away from a job that they're really not happy with and build a career of their dreams. So even now, despite everything that's going on and the changes in society, people are still motivated to look for a career that they love and make the changes in their life that they want. And as I think I've probably mentioned before, I think nearly on every call that I do, confidence comes into it. Now, some people say, well, how can confidence be a result of coaching? Well, I'll explain exactly why. Because when you get clarity on your life purpose, your plans and your goals, and you know that you've set your course to achieve those goals, by working through that process with a coach, that gives you confidence because you start to see some of your successes step by step and bit by bit. So thank you to those of you joining this evening. So it's very common. I think I've had like several calls this week and it's all about, yes, I want to improve my situation at work. I want to improve my business or my career. And the longer that people are staying in a certain situation, what they're realizing is this is massively eating away at my confidence. Because if we know we're putting up with something, we're tolerating something, a situation that we've wanted to change, but we haven't for whatever reason, that eats away at us. It's like having rot in a piece of wood. It eats away at us and it slowly withers away our foundations, our security, because we know, come on guys, we all must have been there. We know when actually we're not doing something that's in our best interests. Now, as human beings, we're really good at keeping ourselves stuck because actually remaining where you are and remaining stuck in a situation is much easier than perhaps some of the disruption, some of the changes and some of the effort that needs to be made to make changes. And if you remember, I talk about resilience and persistence a lot because we all have times, I have them where it's like, argh! But it's about keeping going and building up those resilience tanks. And we just can't do that if we're stuck in a situation that is disempowering and making us feel less than. And as human beings, we often, whether we're aware of it or not, choose to stay in those situations. We've all done it. We've all stayed in a job for longer than we meant to. We've stayed in a relationship for longer than we meant to because perhaps we didn't want to be on our own. We sought comfort in food instead of thinking, I've got a really hard slog ahead of me here to really get myself back in shape. So what I'm saying is, I've talked about confidence over the last few weeks. It's really common. And the longer you stay in a situation that doesn't feel good to you, doesn't make you happy, that is just going to erode. And it's going to erode your self-esteem. And self-esteem is really, really important because if we don't have self-esteem, we don't have self-acceptance. If we don't have self-acceptance, then we don't have self-understanding. And if we don't have self-understanding about those bits of us that we really like and the bits we want to change, then we can't move into self-management. If we can't move into self-management, we can't move into self-leadership, what I call inside-out leadership, self-mastery. And that is where you are really going to smash your goals out of the park. So, yes, confidence is a skill set, as I've mentioned before. It applies to different situations. You may be very confident in one situation, but less so in another. But we need to help ourselves. And I'm telling you, every call I have at some point is about confidence. And it's related to the fact I've just stayed here too long. I've put up with this for too long. Now, at some point as human beings, we will get to a point, one hopes, most people do, where there's a sort of light bulb moment or something really bad happens, or it's just like one more time of being overlooked for promotion. And it's like, do you know what? I cannot do this anymore. And that is it. That is the catalyst. It's a catalyst for that transformational quantum leap or change you need to make in your lives. And you will find, because I've seen it in clients, that once you decide to do something, to change something, to go, do you know what? I don't like this anymore. I'm fed up with this. I'm going to do something about it. That will go bang. That dopamine will go flying around your body, and you will feel like, do you know what? I've made a decision for me. I've made a decision to change. I've made an empowering decision, and that will give you a shot of confidence. And what coaching will do is guide you and help you to get that clarity, get those plans, get rid of all that negative stuff in your head, and really move you forward. So I can't urge you enough to sort of think about, if there's something in your life that needs fixing, what have you been tolerating? Because if you're not feeling confident, chances are there's a situation you've been putting up with for a long time. Confidence is a skill set, but it's a skill set, but we have to believe in our abilities to learn, adapt, change, learn how to do something. Like I said before, borrow from role models, beg, steal and borrow from situations you've been in before. Use what you have in your toolkit, but it's something that we need to learn, we need to apply in different situations. The longer you stay stuck, the longer that I'm afraid your self-confidence is going to erode. So there are times in our life, of course, where, as I've mentioned, this is just my theory, that confidence applies to certain situations. And we've talked about over the last couple of weeks lots of different techniques. If you look back over the videos, they're on my YouTube or my Facebook page, then you will find I've given you lots of different techniques of, you know, what you can do to improve your confidence, like setting goals. What do your role models do? All of that stuff. Who do you look up to? Or where were you confident before? What can you beg, steal and borrow? So we've done all sorts of different things, and we've talked about mindfulness, visualizing, doing what athletes do and performers do, looking at it step by step like a mind movie, because your brain doesn't know whether that's a fictitious movie or not. So what we feed our brains is what tends to stay in there. So we've talked about that. Now, the mind-body connection. So science is demonstrating, I love a bit of science, I can't help it, okay? So science is proving that throughout our body, and you may have heard me talk about this before, that we have got, we've got millions of cells in our body, and we know that our cells turn over. However, through the course of our ancestry, through the course of history, through the course of our lives, all of these cells in our bodies, hi Julie, all of these cells in our body retain memories, okay? So there's a guy called Bruce Lipton, and he's an epigeneticist, easy for me to say, and he's actually conducted scientific studies where they're showing that it's not just our brain that thinks, our heart thinks, all of the cells in our body thinks. So how important is it for you, do you think it is, to really make sure that our body, as in our physical actions and our mental actions, are aligned? Very important. Science is showing that we are not a series of disparate systems. Science is demonstrating that we know that what goes on in our brain affects our body, and what goes on in our body affects our brain. So for example, under stress, our system will release stressful hormones and chemicals, and those affect all different parts of the body. It's not like it suddenly goes, oh, I'm just going to stop here and park up for a minute. So the mind-body connection is really, really important, okay? Remember what I said about, if you say something to yourself really negative, just try it, and how that feels and how your body language tends to go. Like, literally, you're looking down today, because you are. Then say something positive and notice your body language and how different that feels. Okay, so, right. So there's a lady that I'm going to recommend to you. She's called Amy Cuddy. That's Amycuddy. And she's a really big expert in power posing and confidence and confident body language. So if you think about someone, again, that you felt, wow, their composure, their posture, the way they spoke was really confident. Not everybody's style is going to suit us. It's not always about being the loudest person in the room. I've worked with executives that are very introvert, very contained, but actually that kind of confidence, that inner still confidence in themselves, it just screams out of them. But one of the things that Amy Cuddy teaches you to do is like a power pose. I'm going to try and demonstrate it a bit. I'm not standing up. If I stand up, I think I'm going to chop my body off. But anyway, if you stand up, and it's almost like you put your hands on your hips and you sort of, stick your chest out a bit, you know, make sure your back's straight, and you just stand there kind of with your legs like that, and you stand upright and you look up. And actually looking at the sky is great. Science, another bit of science, has proved that looking at the sky just for about 10 minutes every day, or just a few minutes, instantly lifts your mood. So maybe do this whilst looking at the sky. So you stand there with your hands on your hips, not being defiant, but you stand there, stand upright, pull your shoulders back, look up and take some deep breaths. Now, if you stand up and try that, I'm going to try it. Right, I'm out of view, hang on a minute. So I'm doing this. Now, if I do this, I don't know if you've ever done it. You sat on a Zoom call probably the last few months, and it's, oh God, this is so boring. And your mind and your body starts feeding into each other, and before you know it, you're doodling. Whereas if you were to break state and suddenly go, hang on a minute, and pull your shoulders back, shake yourself down a bit, get that oxygen into your lungs, it feels a lot better and you feel a lot more engaged. So the Amy Cuddy thing is about literally having either your hands on your hips, like this, shoulders back, face up, and just really looking forward, looking up, and just sort of being really tall and proud in your body language. If you Google her or look on YouTube, you'll see tons of her stuff. She's got tons of videos about this, and just try it. Just play with different postures. Walk around for a minute, all slumped and like with a miserable face, and then see how you feel after that minute. Then try it. Even have a laugh or just stand up like that. I mean, I do this before I go on speaking because it just somehow gets the sort of chemicals in my body flowing. I just feel proud, I feel tall. It's going to mean different things for different people. So, get your head up, natural smiling pose. Smiling, do you know what? Sometimes if you don't even feel like it, fake a smile. Not to look like a Cheshire Cat or the Joker, but that instantly increases feel-good hormones like dopamine. So if you just just practice smiling. If you don't feel like you've smiled a lot, smile a bit and just see how that feels. You'll feel a lot better. So that's it. Another thing you can do is dress the part, because that's almost like getting into the zone, isn't it? So if I was speaking at a conference on the stage, I wouldn't turn up in my dressing gown and my pyjamas. And for some people, working from home might be sitting in your pyjamas in your dressing gown. If that works for you, go for it. But I don't know about you, but I need to get up, wear something smart, put my makeup on, even put my perfume on, stuff like that gets me into the zone, because my body picks up on, the fact of, what I've been, what perfume I'm wearing. You get into the vibe of what clothes you're wearing. You dress for the part, and I've seen quite a few people turning up for talks and things like that, and they've got trousers hanging up in the background, or they're slumped, body language isn't great, and it's like, that's not really demonstrating a commitment or a confident mindset. So just think about how you're coming across, and just get into that and think, well, when I'm feeling confident, chances are it's probably not when you're in your pyjamas and your slippers, because you're just slouching, relaxing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what are you wearing when you do feel confident? I know for me, like, the colour red is really important. And by the way, guys, newsflash, I've actually just passed my diploma in colour therapy, which includes like sort of looking at people, the colours they wear, what suits them, what doesn't suit them, different colour energies, stuff about what you wear, what your home looks like, anything to do with ailments and stuff like that, and oils. So if that's of interest, get in touch. I wear red because I know that it kind of suits my personality, and it sort of gears me into action. So I like to have a lot of red around, and orange is the same, yellow's quite uplifting. Blue can be, obviously, it is the colour of business attire. but try and colour it with something else if you want to. But, you know, think about your colour, your clothes that you're wearing and stuff like that. We talked about visualising, playing those mind movies, because our brain doesn't know the difference between real life or what's going on. And just act as though you are confident. Now, I don't want to go as far as saying fake it, fake it, fake it until you make it. Because when you use the word fake, sometimes for some people that doesn't really sit very well with them. So I call it act as if. So if I was acting as if I was confident, I'd be speaking clearly, my body language would be very upright, I'd be speaking like with a very open body language, I'd be listening to people, reflecting on what I'm saying, taking my time. Those are all the different things that, to me, I know where I feel confident. So just act as though you are. When you are going into a meeting, just go, do you know what? Maybe in this meeting I never used to say anything, but now I'm going to say, oh, hello, how are you? What's going on in the business? Do something. I dare you over the next week to do something you haven't done before that's going to help you feel more confident. Now, that could be smile at a stranger. It could be volunteering, it could be doing a Facebook Live, it could be just walking in or on Zoom, offering to chair a meeting. Do something, do one thing different that you haven't done before, because this will help you grow. And it's not about faking, it's just thinking, I'm going to act as if I'm confident, because I've made a decision that for today I am going to be confident. And you will find it's like a rolling, what's the expression? Is it a rolling stone or a rolling something gathering moss? Something like that, that the more you do it, the more it will build a crescendo and you'll actually feel more confident as well. And when you get into these habits, some of the stuff that you start to practice will feel a little bit odd because it's new. You've not done it before. It's like the first time you taste something. It's like, oh, that's a bit different. But then you get used to it and you're like, oh, I do really like this now. So just start with the small things, and you'll find the small things, that small little thing or that something that's out of a comfort zone, once you've done it once, you can do it again. And you'll be, oh, okay. You know, so maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try this. And it will gather momentum and it will just start to build that foundation of confidence. So just act as if you are and push yourself out your comfort zone for the week, as this is how we achieve our goals and start to take action on our goals. And if you need to, rehearse it, play that mind movie if you need to. I mean, if you think about it, you know, actors, I'm pretty sure, don't just make it up and wing it when they go on stage. It may look as though they're confident and they know everything about their part. And sometimes, you know, you hear these stories about actors saying, oh, I really messed up that line. But we didn't notice because they've learned how to style it, how to work through some of those little wrinkles and little bumps in the road that come with performing live. But what we don't see is that for them to be confident and confident in the role, they will have spent months or, you know, weeks or days, if they got the part at the last minute, stepping into what's the personality of that person, what's their character, rehearsing the lines, practicing. Anything that looks easy is not, I tell you. So I was watching that programme with David, is it David Hayward, the actor, and he was talking about failure in acting, and he said, I want to talk about it. I think it's David Hayward. He used to be in whatchamacallit, what's that programme with Damien Lewis? Homeland. And he's been in loads of other things. You know, he's a really, really great actor. And he was talking about how in acting we don't talk about failure, but actually, you know, it just makes you so grateful for what they have now. And, you know, talking about the fact that they go into audition. And even for someone like him, and they were talking to, I think, Brian Cox and lots of other leading actors and Zachary Quinto. And it was just like, oh my God, you know, I've had those times where my confidence has really dipped because I haven't been getting the parts. So I've had to build myself back up again. And it's almost like an acceptance that, you know what, in life there are going to be tough times. Don't let it define you. Sort of bust through them, get back out there. But these guys are like working really, really hard and rehearsing and practicing to feel confident. They know that they inhabit that part when they go on, you know, the good actors do, because they've practiced. So the same same for us, you know, when I speak on stage, I don't just like go, well, I think I'll say this today. And because a lot of my conferences have been cancelled early part of the year, do you know what I'm going to do? They've all moved to the back end of the year. So I'm going to get a bit of top-up training just in about stagecraft delivery, because it's like, yeah, I feel like I need a little top-up because I want to deliver the best I can at this conference. So acquire those skills, you know, and find out, you know, if there is a skills gap somewhere, if you've got that confidence goal that I said about setting a few weeks ago, what the skills you need to get there and who can help you. So that whole rehearsing is really important. And if you step out of your comfort zone, do something different this week, that will start to build that confidence. The other thing you can do is, it could be a visual exercise or just something you think about as you go through your day mindfully, you hope. Sometimes we don't always have mindful days if we're running around a bit. But focus on what you want. Make your dream bigger than your fear. So maybe your fear looks like something. Maybe your fear, if your fear's in one hand, let's take this hand. So your fear's here, and your fear is I don't know, perhaps it looks like I don't know, like a grey squidgy mass or something that's going like that. And it feels, if you were to visualise it, it feels quite big. But over here is your dream, and your dream might be something, I don't know, it might be, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, you know, those snow domes, and it's a nice scene with a nice house. Whatever feels, you know, good to you. So think about your fear in one hand, think about your dream, and just visualise that. That's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You don't, and make this one here, the fear, if you can visualise it, close your eyes, and if it's something that's quite, so now if I think of something, I'm thinking of like, it's almost like a stress ball that's grey and it's sort of making lots of noises and it's really irritating. If I visualise that, I can visualise that thing, that how I translate that fear, moving further and further and further away from me, and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's getting quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter until it's fading out into the distance. So that's what you can do, is like give yourself a visual cue for your fear, and then make it smaller, make it quieter, turn down the noise, and then see it moving further away. And then maybe you've got an image for what your dream is, and just imagine that in your mind just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's lots of different ways, or as you casually walking about, just think about your dream. Think about your dream or your goal more often than your fear. When you feel your fear coming up, think, whoa, hang on a minute, hang on, let's think about the dream. And think about the dream and the goal being bigger than your fear. So that's another really, really great tip. And as I mentioned before, with confidence goals, set yourself a confidence goal. You know, that thing that I said this week, get out of your comfort zone. Identify the goal that you want and recognise what skills you have already. And then try and identify, given we're saying confidence is a skill set, which I firmly believe, but underneath it, we've got to have the ability to really believe that we can learn, adapt, we have the ability to improve. Figure out what the gaps in the knowledge are, and just figure out what actions do I need to take to fill those gaps, and get real about what's going on with you, you know. And then once you've decided on that goal, maybe try a bit of the power pose, get the old body-mind connection going, change your state, step into confidence. You know, perhaps if you think about this goal and go, right, what is it I want? You know, what skills do I have? What gaps do I have? What actions am I going to take? What you could do is another bit of mind-body stuff here, is you can almost have a piece of paper and have like 1, 2, 3 and go, right, what's this goal? Right, what's my first action? This, step into it in your power pose. And then keep moving forward, stepping into the pieces of paper to say, I'm going to step forward, right, and get your power pose up. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like you're stepping over stepping stones, and maybe on the wall at the end you could have your confidence goal pinned up there, but really get, you know, and sort of when you're stepping in along the different like pieces of paper, or you could just do it as you're walking along the road or something, or in the back of your garden, just take a step back, to physical step back, physical step forward with that nice body language that we talked about, because fear hates action. And sometimes I feel that when I'm running or doing some exercise, when I'm getting into the zone with my mindset, it just feels like it goes in really, really quickly, and it really embeds, because like my body's working, it's moving, all the chemicals are flying. It just feels psychologically like this stuff is embedding itself like a computer program more quickly than if I'm just sitting here, perhaps sitting in my office doing it. So yeah, so that was our next piece on confident, how to feel confident if you don't feel like it. I did a little recap about confidence and what it is. The fact that if you remain stuck in a situation that you know, come on, you know, I really need to do something about this, but I'm putting it off, it will erode your confidence. And you need your confidence if you're going to be stepping into new goals and things. But believe you've got the ability to reboot your confidence if needs be. It's really common. Or, you know, like I said, so many calls this week, I've been stuck in this job for too long, it's eating away at my confidence, I can't carry on. Or, you know, I'm not looking after my health, for example, and it's eating away at my confidence. So really think about tackling those goals you've maybe not thought about for a while. Amy Cuddy, I've mentioned her and the power pose. I've talked about dressing the part, even if you're walking at home. I've talked about rehearsing for something. You know, we talked about how actors don't just rock up and spout a few lines out. They prepare. You know, if they do get a job like that, then sometimes it's by fluke. But, you know, they really prepare, really rehearse. So anything that looks easy is not. So they have worked to be confident at that particular piece of work that they're doing. Then think about your goals. So get out of your comfort zone this week. Do something different. You can choose to set that confidence goal. And, you know, if you want to visualize it, visualize the dream being bigger than the fear, whether that's as an actual physical thing, whether it looks like an object or it's just in your mind. Just really get into the zone of like amplifying your dream, minimizing the fear, and then try that stepping forward along your goals path. So lay out those 1, 2, 3, 4, however many bits of paper, or just walk up the pavement or a path in your back garden and think about, what's my goal? Okay, what skills, abilities do I have? What skills and abilities do I need? How am I going to get them? And then break them down and go step, 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 step. All those different steps till you go, yes, high five, that's the goal at the end there. Whether you want to hit the wall or high five someone else, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, that's another bit about confidence. I think we've got something else on confidence next week. I'm not sure, but anyway, the events, they're all listed on my events page on my Facebook events page, so take a look on there. We've got quite a mixture of nice little topics coming up next month. What else is happening? Yeah, I've got my Udemy career course, of course. My newsletter, my e-blast, if you'd like a copy of that. It's a 2-minute read, and it's just once every Friday. Then just drop me a DM with your email address and I'll add you to the list, because sometimes on there I put special offers. I've got some special offers coming up for the summer, just to get into a bit of a reboot after everything that's been happening. I've also got my book. I think that's it for now, but thank you for listening. Lovely to see you on here again. And of course, as always, if you've got any questions, any suggestions, anything you'd like to see me talk about on these videos, then please just drop me a DM and I'll cover it. There's no such thing as a daft question. There's no such thing as a daft topic. That's the beauty of coaching. Everyone's unique. Everybody's got their unique take on life and their own things to deal with. So have a lovely weekend and keep in touch. Take care. Bye.